We are here with Payam Sarabi of Sarabi Studio, a furniture company in Austin, Texas that creates really sleek and modern metal and wood furniture. Thanks for being here.
Adrian, thanks for having me.
So let's start with you describing your company and all of the work that you do.
Well, Sarabi Studio is, I guess, first a furniture studio. Our main focus on industrial and minimal furniture pieces that are handcrafted locally. But we also are a design build studio. We do a variety of different design projects, such as planters, architectural metalwork, and railings. Basically, any project where we can be creative and incorporate design, but we are certainly not a job shop or a welding shop.
Do you do more furniture design or do you do more of the design build stuff, or does it change up?
I'd say a majority of our work is custom furniture and spec furniture design, but we love to kind of reach out and do projects where we will have a big presence in furnishing the home, but also be involved in other spaces throughout the home. Our clients come back and have us do more than just the furniture once they hear that we are kind of more diversified.
Sounds like you do a good job then.
So far, so good.
What is your personal background like? How long have you been in the design business?
Well, formally, I haven't been in the design business very long at all. But if you ask any of the people I grew up with, since I was a kid, I've always been a tinkerer and always designing and building some little project. Probably the only 12-year-old I knew who had my own table saw and little workshop area. So over the years, I've always enjoyed designing and building little projects. My background was first in a pre-architecture program at the University of Oregon that I lasted about a year and a half through that program before, no offense to the program, it just wasn't a good fit for me and I kind of outgrew that direction. I then broke off and moved here to Austin to do some construction work. I built some residential projects here that allowed me to be creative and work with other architects and incorporate some design, but really begin to become more involved with the physical process of creating. And really during that period of my life for about 4 years where I was heavily involved in residential and commercial construction, I started to fall in love with metal, working with my welders and always asking all these questions. How does that work? How are you really fusing these two plates of steel? I'd painted and done other projects, but really that was the turning point where I decided that I wanted to create works of art, furniture pieces. So in 2007, I began designing and building pieces for my own hobby, I would say. And 2009, after a few years of self-teaching design and fabrication techniques, I filed officially Sarabi Studio as a company and began marketing myself to furniture companies and clients. In a relatively short period, I've been able to both design and build some really unique projects that were funded by clients, meaning that they had an idea in their head and we worked together to capture it in the design and fabricate it. And also a lot of really unique projects that I did under my own motivations.
Is that where you get the inspiration for your work? Is just the different materials that you get to play with, or do you look at other outside sources for inspiration?
I definitely had an appreciation. Construction, although it's far less intricate and ornate than furniture making, is impressive to me in my early years because of how quickly many materials came together to build these, these places we live and work. But most of my inspiration, I would say, comes from urban architecture more than anything. So no particular architect on his own, but just from my travels and visiting a lot of the metropolitan cities that I frequent, I draw a lot of my inspiration from the finished urban centers. So looking at entire areas. The cities I really enjoy and go back to time and time again are Portland, Oregon, where I was born and raised. I love a variety of cities throughout Japan, but Tokyo stands out. There's some spectacular modern architecture. And I would say recently I began to take a lot of cues from natural materials themselves and actually going out, selecting and purchasing materials long before I had a design for that material. So actually looking at the wood, the grain, the colors, and building projects out of the materials.
How many people are working for your studio?
We're not really a large production furniture shop. I'm more of an independent designer. And there was a time a few years, about a year and a half back, 6 months into this commercial venture, where I had to make the decision between opening a full-on production facility or collaborating with other craftsmen in Austin and putting them to work to produce my designs. And I made the decision just for my own sanity and the fact that I like to be, I guess, unencumbered and flexible, to not open up our own production facility and bring on full-time fabricators, but rather to seek out the best job shops and craftsmen throughout Austin. So right now, full-time, it's only myself as a designer and as a limited fabricator at the company. And I do quite, almost every design is prototyped by myself right here in my own little design studio. At one point, I will get to a step where I feel like we have to internalize. But right now, like you mentioned, we've assembled a big portfolio of work because I still have time left to do design work.
That sounds really smart. I know in talking with a lot of other furniture companies, they don't get to spend a lot of time designing because a lot of it is spent doing business stuff. Does that mean you're maybe like 80-20 design versus business, or what's that balance for you?
I think I'm headed there. I'm still probably 60-40 because some of our newer lines involve production methods and shops that we don't have long relationships with. These are maybe 3-month-old relationships with some of the woodworkers and other shops that we've started collaborating with. As things smooth out and they're used to seeing my drawings come in and they're used to seeing the photos of my prototype and being able to, I guess, meet the standard I have, I think I'll be able to get back towards designing more. But yeah, it's a constant struggle because on one end, you do need to sell your work and you need to get paid in order to survive and grow your company. But a lot of times I feel like the commercial aspect of my work is the only thing distracting me from my work.
So, what do you think sets you apart from other modern designers?
Well, I mean, it's an impressive field to try and compare myself against all the great designers of our time and, of course, of the previous decade. But I think my work is more, I would say, a minimalist line, a minimalist state of design than a lot of the quote-unquote modern designers. Because modern's kind of become this word that's a little bit lost on the average user. If you ask somebody modern, they're going to point at almost anything that has somewhat clean lines and call it modern. So if you look at most of my work, it's almost simple to the point of being complex. We try very hard to minimalize the number of components and the number of joints. And a lot of our work that may have a lot of joinery or welding, most of that welding has been removed and polished out to such a degree that it's virtually invisible from the surrounding materials. So I guess that whole less is more, not only in the number of components, but in the whole design philosophy is something that I think makes us stand out. And that's the direction I've always headed. And I think our newest design direction is more the focus on even smaller and simpler spaces, trying to, I guess, adopt the urban living lifestyle. So, doing more with less footprint.
So, what do you like working in more? Do you like the metal? Do you like the wood? Do you like when you combine the metal and the wood?
If you look at my portfolio laid out on a desk from, left to right, start to finish, there's almost, no woodwork in my early years because I really like the kind of almost cold industrial feel of working with steel. But once I started breaking into woodwork, I really began to appreciate the contrast of the warmth of unique woods, the grain and the true warmth of these dark hardwoods against the more basic kind of cold feeling of the steels, the stainless and the carbon steels and the various finishes we use. So today, my focus has been on actually finding that, I guess, balance between the two materials. And a lot of our new work incorporates both materials. And I think that's how things will likely stay for a while as I experiment with different species and different methods of incorporating the two materials, and the different varieties of wood that are available are just spectacular.
What are the new projects that are on the horizon for you? What's coming up? What are you excited about? Where's your business moving toward?
I'm hoping that 2011 will be a great year. We're going to be releasing what I call a new commercial line, and that's such a bad description, but so much of our work is very limited production, one ofs, two ofs. and we have very few items that we actually offer to the broader market. And we're excited to bring a few of our designs to a broader marketplace where anyone can hop on the web through one of our retailers and place an order, and within a matter of a few weeks have one of our handcrafted pieces in their home. And to me, that's very exciting. Recently, we just released a whole new line of handcrafted walnut and steel bedroom pieces, and we're real excited to have that come to market and see how that's received. In the future, we're hoping to just broaden and keep on adding to our portfolio of products. One design project that we hadn't done to date is any full-size chairs. We've done lots of benches and tables and very simple, modern, and minimal forms. And we have some designs on the drawing board, so to speak, for a line of dining and outdoor chairs, which will be probably coming out here in early 2011. We're really excited to share that. And lastly, we have a couple of designs for some really unique LED lighting pieces that are going to combine both steel, hardwood, and LED lighting to create some really unique lighting accents for the home that we're really excited to get into production on those here in just a few weeks.
Well, thank you so much, Payam. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for your time. Love chatting with you.
For more information about Sarabi Studio, you can visit sarabistudio.com. That's SARABI studio.com. You've been listening to a Two Modern Designer interview. For more fun podcasts, inspiring design posts, and design advice, check out the blog at twomodern.com.